In 1901, a steel tycoon sold his company at the height of America's industrial consolidation and walked away with a fortune that still shocks. That tycoon was Andrew Carnegie. But here's the twist. The system that made steel cheap enough to build the modern United States also fueled brutal labor conflict and got linked, indirectly, to one of the Gilded Age's most infamous disasters. Carnegie's rise starts near Pittsburgh. At 13, he worked long shifts in a cotton factory, then became a telegraph messenger. It sounds small, but it taught him speed, discipline, and connections. When he began investing, he didn't chase flashy inventions. He chased what the future would be built from: railroads, bridges, and steel. By the late 1880s, he was consolidating his steel businesses. In 1892, they were formally brought under Carnegie Steel Company. The mission was simple: make steel cheaper than anyone thought possible. He backed the Bessemer process, blasting air through molten iron to burn off impurities, so steel could be made faster and at lower cost. Then he went big: giant mills running non-stop and cost controls. Next came the move that turned a steel business into a steel machine: control the pipeline. Iron ore, coal and coke, rail transport, and the mills. So the company didn't just make steel, it owned the system that fed steel. Lower costs meant lower prices, which meant more volume, which drove costs even lower. Rivals either sold out or got squeezed until they had to. And this is where the controversies live. In 1889, the Johnstown flood killed more than 2,200 people when the South Fork Dam, owned by the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club, collapsed and sent a wall of water into Johnstown. Carnegie was a dues-paying member of that club, though sources note it's doubtful he spent any time there. When the flood hit, he was in Paris, and, through U.S. Ambassador Whitelaw Reid, helped rally Americans to respond. Later that year, he visited Johnstown and donated funds to rebuild the public library. In court, the club was never held legally responsible, and many survivors saw little meaningful compensation. Then in 1892 came the Homestead Strike, really a lockout that escalated into a battle, at the Homestead Steelworks near Pittsburgh. As the union contract neared its July 1st deadline, management pushed wage cuts and moved to break the union. Henry Clay Frick locked the workers out. Before dawn on July 6th, about 300 Pinkerton agents arrived by river to secure the works so replacement labor could be brought in, and gunfire turned the confrontation deadly. On July 12th, Governor Robert Emory Pattison sent in the Pennsylvania National Guard. By July 15th, the plant was operating with replacement workers, and by November, the union had conceded. If you're getting value from this kind of business history, hit like. Now zoom out, and you see why Carnegie's business story is still studied. He treated steel like a math problem: technology, scale, vertical integration, and timing. By 1901, J.P. Morgan was assembling one giant corporation to pull major producers under a single roof. Carnegie named his price, about $480 million. Some tallies put the deal closer to $492 million, around 18 to 19 billion in today's dollars. That purchase became the core of U.S. Steel, capitalized at about $1.4 billion, the first billion-dollar corporation in American history. It wasn't just a sale, it was a peak cycle exit. After that exit, Carnegie tried to turn a hard-edged fortune into a softer legacy. He funded universities, backed research, built Carnegie Hall, and financed 2,509 libraries worldwide, driven by the idea that wealth should be recycled into opportunity. To some people, that's redemption. To others, it's proof that philanthropy can't erase the human cost of how the money was made. Subscribe for more stories like this, and drop a comment. Should philanthropy change how we judge the way a fortune was made? Or should we keep those two ledgers separate?